right, guys. So Alabama wins against Kentucky 49-21 in a game that it should have been, let's be honest, it should have been 49-7, or we should have been in the 50s, but it is what it is. We were dominant from the first quarter all the way to the fourth. Offensively, we looked in sync. Jalen Miro continues to progress and play a lot better compared to what he was in the early portion of the season. Offensive line, once again, is improving. The passing concepts continues to be a strength of this team. Even without Jermaine Burton, we saw Kobe Prentice make plays. We saw Amari Niblack make plays. We saw a lot of these playmakers. Kendrick Law, how we're using him in pre-snap motion and how we're kind of using him in that Deebo Samuel type role. He's doing a phenomenal job. This team is clicking on all sort of cylinders right now. Now, of course, defensively and even offensively and special teams, there's still some kinks to work out. I still like, for the most part, this is a team that even though I feel like we're starting to click, we're still not there to the type of team that I would like this, that I know this team can play at. But like I said again, guys, this is kind of like 2021 or 2015, how for the most part we kind of struggle in the early portion of the season, but the more and more games we start to play with the talent, personnel, and coaching that we have all coming together, all of a sudden you're starting to kind of see that those teams, hell, both those teams played in a national championship. So not a bad compliment at all to say that, hey, Alabama can do the exact same thing. Now, I will say this. I will tell you guys this. Defensively, Trezman Marshall, we didn't have Deontay Lawson. Trezman Marshall should, again, if you want to put him in certain packages, fine. If you want to play him in a certain type of role, fine. But as far as being a full-fledged starter of this football team, no, absolutely not. Not again. Trezman Marshall, guys, has always been a liability when it comes to coverage, whether if it's in man or zone. But now all of a sudden, the one thing he does well, which is becoming that extra pass rusher, a guy that you can rush up the middle or you can rush off the edge, a guy that for the most part that can play up the run because again, he's not the biggest guy, but he plays a lot bigger than what his actual size is. Well, guess what? Tonight, he did not do that. He couldn't read. He couldn't really read. He couldn't read and fill in gaps if it saved his life, despite the defensive line playing extremely well and literally creating these big-ass holes in order for Trezman Marshall to kind of fill into the gap. He would not do it. He played like Henry freaking Toa tonight. And I just don't know. Again, one of the worst pursuit angles you're ever going to see when it comes to, again, he's free. No one has him. He's free coming off that edge. And if he takes, all he needed to do was just continue to stay a little bit on the outside. He can come inside a little bit, but stay a little bit towards the outside. Do not give that man any sort of leverage. And all of a sudden, that's a sack. Instead, he decides to cut that shit deep like a freaking katana blade, like he's freaking, like he is freaking Wesley Snipes from Blade. Cuts all the way in deep. Takes out, I forgot who that was. That might have been Quindarius Robinson. You guys can let me know. But cuts off the next Alabama defender from making the damn play. And all of a sudden, there's their quarterback, Devin Leary, scrambling on the outside, extending the play. That could have been a first down. Now, I will say this, right? We did get a 15-yard roughing the passer call on Latham. Can't do that. But there were two key plays. That was one of them. The second play where Timothy Smith blows up the play. Blows it up. Takes a guard all the way to the damn Sahara Desert. And there's a big-ass gapping hole that only Trezman Marshall can fill. What does Trezman Marshall do? He decides to say, you know what? Let me stand right next to the tackle. Let me stand right up, right beyond the tackle, and let me just stand here because they could be maybe it's a trick play. Maybe there's some sort of play action going on, and I don't want any receivers or tight ends crossing my face or trying to cross me because you just never know. Let me try to look for the back shoulder, and instead of just filling up the big ass gap. How do you not see that that's a run right there? I mean, like I said, I can see through that. Everybody can see through that. I don't know. It is what it is. But Trezman Marshall, man, is just a liability. Again, if you can't play the run well, if you can't really do your assignment as far as being the extra pass rush and getting home to the quarterback, if you can't play in coverage, flapping your arms around, looking like you're one of those insurance flappies during that car, you know I'm talking about, that car dealership. One of those big-ass inflatables flapping around their arms. If you want to be doing all that crap like that, you can't play man, you can't play zone, you cannot play the run really well, then what the hell can you do? What can you do? So he was a liability tonight. To me, like I said, if you want to put him in certain roles because you want to keep the flexibility and you want to keep the versatility of your linebackers fresh, fine. But again, for a full-fledged guy, I understand Deontay Lawson's out, but give me Quindarius Robinson. Give me Kendrick Blackshire. Give me Alexander. There's a lot of players. Justin Jefferson. There's a lot of players that I would rather fill in that role of Trez Marshall. And Trez Marshall didn't even have a lot of responsibility. The majority of the responsibility, the majority of the play calling went to Campbell. So what the hell are we doing? I understand he brings a lot of experience, veteran leadership, but if he can't do shit on the football field, then what's the point of him being there? Seriously. I don't know, man. That's just it is what it is on that aspect. We did make some key mistakes here and there. Christian Story came into the game, didn't really play that well. Kool-Aid McKinstry muffed a punt. Listen, I already talked about this on Bama Insider, but Kool-Aid McKinstry should not be returning punts for me. Listen, I understand you want to try to get his confidence up. I understand it is what it is. But first of all, Kool-Aid's not explosive. He's just not. He's not the fastest. He's not the quickest. He's not the most agile. And he's not explosive. Give me Kendrick Law. Give me Isaiah Bond. I understand last year he was solid, but let's be honest here. Let's be honest. Who did he do it against? He did it against weak-ass college teams like ITT Tech or ICDC College. That's who he was doing it against. Brian Branch, the first time he returns a punt, what happens? With something that Kool-Aid has never done, returning for a touchdown after when Kool-Aid was having an all-time great game. All of a sudden, Brian Branch comes up, he returns that shit for a touchdown. So that doesn't tell me, in my opinion, that Kool-Aid is just a quality, phenomenal returner. That tells me, for the most part, when you're playing against these weak-ass universities, yeah, for the most part, a lot of people can do it if they have the skills, set to do it. And I believe we have a lot of players that are more explosive, way faster, have more experience catching punts, better vision, lateral quickness. We have better guys that I think suits that position more than Kool-Aid, because Kool-Aid has lost his confidence. Now, Kool-Aid had a nice return when, again, 20 yards of cushion from the next defender and a wide-ass gapping hole. Like, you still should have got there. And he still couldn't make a move against the punter because he lacks the lateral quickness and the agility compared to what a Justice Haynes or a Kendrick Law or an Emmanuel Henderson or a Isaiah Bond would give to that guy. But it is what it is, guys. Again, the muff punt, that gave Kentucky the entire momentum because they were dead in the water. We gave them momentum. They scored touchdowns. It is what it is. But overall wise, again, there's some things that, again, I can nitpick here and there. I'm just nitpicking at certain things. But this Bama team, for the most part, guys, they're starting to click on all cylinders. I'm proud of this defense, even though we gave up 20 points. I think the scoreboard doesn't, if you don't watch the game, you know that this defense, you know that you're gonna simply say, oh well, Kentucky gave up 21 points. But if you watch the game, you're gonna be like, wow, really? Alabama shouldn't really even give up 21 points at all. Like, garbage time touchdown on a 73-yarder when it was just simply just a Christian Story to pursue it right. A fumble, a muff punt, which gave them short field, and then of course, just stupid penalties and stupid mistakes that kept extending his Kentucky's drive, which gave him a TD. So we got to clean up the minor things, and that's a good thing, right? Before it was, okay, we have major issues. We have major plot holes that we have to try to fill up that we have to fill up fast, otherwise it could hurt us. But now all of a sudden what's killing us are just minor mistakes. It's the minor mistakes. And that's something that is easily cleanable. It is easily fixable, including even just adjustments in your depth chart. Because we have depth at a lot of different position groups. It's just about now cleaning things up, including from our coaching staff, what we can do to try to make this overall team better as far as maybe fixing the depth chart a little bit, right? So it's minor things now that's holding us back. But overall wise, this was a great win. Now we get to move on. We clinched the SC West. So either way, whether if we're out of the playoff discussion or in, we're still going to be going against Georgia in the SC championship game. So we got the West. Now we got to continue to handle business, beat Chattanooga, which we should do, beat Auburn, we should do, but you never know. You're playing in Voodoo Kingdom, so you never know how that game works out. But we should win those two games, and then we can move on, SC championship game, and then that's that should be our ticket into the playoff. Again, I'll talk about playoff rankings and all this crap later on, all throughout the week. But for the most part, guys, proud of this team, and yeah, roll Tide.